So I'm very pleased to say that this will be the final part of this series about working on the doors. As this channel is of course called Nearly Finished, they won't be completely done, but certainly done enough for this stage of the project. Anyway, enough of that. We need to get on with making the internal panels for the door rubbers to attach to. Now, in a previous prototype version, I made these out of steel, but the process is very complicated and the shapes are just a bit difficult to easily do that way. Now, I also know that some of you are missing the good old early days of this channel where we did everything in fiberglass and basically I spent most of the time itching. So, as a special tribute to all the day one early visitors to this channel, we're making these internal panels out of fiberglass. Sadly, fiberglass doesn't stick particularly well to air. So in order to make these panels, we have to have something to mold the fiberglass against. So to do this, I made a basic template out of plywood and then covered it with good old duct tape. And also, with the door in place, I was able to make sure that I had an exact 2 centimeter gap between the door and this new panel. So with that done, it was then simply a case of mixing up a batch of fiberglass and letting the sticky bit begin.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Yeah, so that's the thing that happened then. So I've still got no real idea what went pop, but some of the wiring to the back of the ignition switch that I'd left lying on the central console seemed to have been a bit melted, so I'm assuming something shorted out. Either way, it is really quite disturbing when a large cloud of smoke emits from your backside and you haven't even had a particularly strong curry the night before. Anyway, with that drama out the way, I could then get on with the process of removing the fiberglass from the car and tidying up the rough edges. So obviously there's a few bits and pieces to tidy up on the fiberglass panel, particularly where the clamps went, but overall it was pretty good and certainly usable. So with that nearly finished, I could then turn my attention to the next section of where the door rubber needs to go. And fortunately, there was a steel lip that I'd left here previously that I could now bend over before I managed to weld on then an upright piece for the door rubber itself to go on. So with that carefully clamped in place to ensure the 2 centimeter gap that I need between the door and the door rubber, I was then able to get the welder out and permanently attach it to the car. Having, of course, previously gone through many different designs to try and resolve the issue of flex appearing within the door hinges, and whilst the version that we've got here is infinitely better than the other designs, there was still the possibility of a tiny bit of flex left. So I took this opportunity to weld in some extra strengthening material just to make sure that that issue was completely resolved. With that all done, it was then simply a case of repeating the process that we did at the back of the door in order to start being able to mould the necessary panel for the front of the door.
sleep at night with all the things you've done. Maybe it's just gin and justifications. Tell me how you pray to gods whose hands are red with blood. As pretty as you are, it's pretty sad what you've become. Don't try to come and save my soul. Don't try to pray to bring me home. It's the last time you'll see me, last time to God. You're beautiful, you're sick inside, and I'm not. Tell me how you do it. Maybe I could learn from you how to take the hate and ignorance and make it a virtue. You just make it look so easy. Yeah, you make it look so good. You're the victim with a shotgun. Hate so pretty, so misunderstood. Don't try to come and save my soul. Don't try to pray to bring me home. It's the last time you'll see me, last time to God. You're beautiful, you're sick inside, and I'm not like Joan of Arc without the flames, like Jesus Christ without the pain.
So before I got on with the second round of fiberglassing at the front of the door, I realised there was an opportunity to complete a similar process at the back, just to be able to tie the back of the panel I created into the rear bulkhead. Right, we were really making progress at this stage. Now, at the front, there was one small extra job to do, and that is to weld in a small piece between the upright panel that we welded on earlier and the A-post. So this was simply a case of get out a small piece of 20mm bar stock, shape it, bend it, and weld it. While the welder was out, there were an extra couple of small panels that needed to be made to fit to the door. And these were there just to ensure that the door rubber itself always had a flat surface to close against, and always maintained the 20mm gap between the door and where the door rubber attaches. So, there you go. I think that marks a suitable place to draw a conclusion to the first part of creating the doors. Overall, the driver's door now fits better than it's ever done. It opens and closes properly, and there's something for the door rubbers to attach to so that the door will seal nicely when it closes. We could, of course, go on with the process of spending the next 6 weeks doing exactly the same process on the passenger side door. But I think that would be very boring for you, dear viewer, to have to sit through all this tedium all over again. So my cunning plan is to say that for the moment is doors nearly finished enough, and let's get on with something a lot more entertaining. Let's build the interior.